Bro, are you seriously going to go there? All right, that was the most interesting start to this podcast.
Is the audio started?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The start of this podcast had me going, bro, are you seriously going to go there? Because certain things was dropped by Shaykh Khalid, which we will not mention here. Yep. However, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, all good. Ramadan, suhoor, iftar, tarawih, ibadah, tila Quran.
Allahu Akbar.
The usual, alhamdulillah. And everyone's, mashallah, not me, I'm saying the people around me, mashallah, they're doing well. And
how many Quran have you finished this Ramadan?
They're doing very well. And Allah reward them and accept all their fasting and prayers and ummah's prayers and fasting and tarawih. And mashallah, impressive to see the little kids, they stand for the whole khatam. In our masjid, we do 20 rakats and do the whole khatam Quran. There's kids there that are, there's little kids that are fun. They're amazing. There's about 7, 8 of them. MashaAllah, they stand next to their dads. They get into the masjid now. They are like they got the gap, the social distancing, so families stand together. So there's all these kids standing in the middle, which usually doesn't happen. But MashaAllah, they're at it, and I stand at the door and wait for them and shake their hand, and
mashallah,
yeah,
like
the friendly imam, the compassionate imam,
until he turns up the maktab. Until he turns up the maktab.
No, they're good. They're mashallah, imam. So nice to see. So nice.
How old are they?
It's these are like, some of them are like 6, 7.
Mashallah.
Yeah, and they like 6, 7, 10 years old, 11, 12, like that. A few teenagers as well. But the little ones amaze me. Like, they're there every night. So I should organize maybe something for them, some gift for them to encourage.
On Eid Day, you need to do what your dad does and have like $1,000 in your pocket,
and
$1 coins, and just give them out, or $5 notes.
Yeah.
If I remember to go shake his hand on Eid Day.
That was for like students and poor people. And did he give you some? Did he?
No, he didn't. No, not yet.
After you failed crypto investments.
Let's not go there.
You'll need a Bitcoin on day of Eid. He's a 1 cent.
Dogecoin.
Yeah, dodgy.
Tested my iman in terms of risk is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
I had a ridiculous.
You know what I see, just as a thing, a lot of the if you see the videos of people online, the poker players, the tips that they give, the traders, they sound very similar. I'm not giving fatwa of halal and haram or anything like that, but I'm saying if you go to the traders online, the way they talk, and you look at the sports bettors and all those guys, the way they talk, they sound different. No. I've seen them, and you watch them, the way they talk, because you're trying to make something out of nothing almost. And try and look for those volatilities and trying to make something out of the volatilities. But other than that, it's there is a big part of it is like taps into that gambling side of the human brain.
The virtual world is the way of the future.
Huh?
Let's leave it at that.
What's that?
The virtual world is the way of the future.
Oh, nobody's. I'm not doubting that crypto can be used as a currency. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the trading aspect of it is problematic. A lot of brothers are there for the
quick gains. Everybody's
Bitcoin. It's a like
I want to be on
it's a gambling. It's a gambling. There's a gambling element to it.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all rizq with ease.
Ameen.
Ramadan for me this year hasn't been as good as last year, I have to admit. Last year being in lockdown, being at home, I know for you it was tough. I really enjoyed it. It gave me a lot of time to do.
Yeah, I think you don't like coming and praying in the mosque and praying. Have to read a complete Quran. Listen to somebody else read.
Very much.
The last 10 surahs are really good to you last year, and I think this year's
it was last probably 15 surahs. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, alhamdulillah. But it's not about the praying in the mosque aspect, but it's just that having that free time because you're at home. You don't have to go out. There's no work. There's no appointments, anything like that, where you can just focus. That I enjoyed that. However, it's going all right. What about suhoor? How's suhoor treating you? Do you wake up?
My suhoor is usually a can of Coke, half a can of Coke. So I don't have to, I know it's probably not healthy. People are probably going to...
Oh, probably not healthy.
Well, it's got water in it and it's got no sugar. It's Coke Zero. And I get the caffeine fix without having to make tea.
Okay, for all those listening, he's not a nutritionist. He's an alim.
I'm currently I am on a diet. I have lost
with Coke Zero.
No. Well, it's got no sugar, so it doesn't really count. But I'm on a keto. Excuse me. That was all the meat that I ate at iftar. But
everyone just cringed, including myself.
but it was. I'm on keto, and as long as I'm fasting, and I'm trying to do intermittent fasting, which is have
Sunrise to sunset,
well, I'm
which is
fasting.
Right.
Well, 12 hours,
Mashallah.
but then I'm not eating from the night before, like 11 o'clock. So I
Really?
don't. So from 11 the night before till iftar the next day. So it's about
So all you're
6
having
times.
is a can of cake for suhoor.
Yeah, basically, or a glass of water or something like that. I don't eat suhoor, so yeah.
This
I mean,
is-
I have a
this
drink of
is
water to
not
get
a
the
fatwa,
get the
this is
barakah,
just his
to
way of doing it.
get the barakah and fulfill the sunnah, and
Inshallah.
but not to have a meal. So, but it's good. I've lost. It's been a week, about a week now. Ramadan, yeah, a week, and I lost. It could be just water weight, but 3.5 kilos. So that's good.
Everyone is riveted now to your weight loss program.
Yeah,
can it
make
work
dua,
every
make
day?
dua, like give me istiqamat, and this continues beyond Ramadan. And well, let's hope I make it over the next few days. I think I had the keto flu yesterday.
What is keto?
Keto is you basically veggies and meat, but you can't eat any sugar, no carbohydrates at all,
No rice.
no
bread.
rice, no bread, no sugar, no milk. Is like very little amount of milk, maybe just a splash in the tea. Yeah,
Doesn't
no.
your body need sugar?
Well, because if you're trying to lose weight, then you've already got like fuel, and sugar is a fuel, and fat is a fuel. So you go into this state called ketosis, which I think
Bro, you're running Tesla.
and you basically tap into your fat reserves. Put it that way. You can use that as an energy source.
Those images are just destroying my brain right now.
Of what?
I'm just thinking, imagine if you could channel that as petrol for a car. Could drive around Australia on you, mate.
I'm not sure if I have that much fuel, but I've got enough to.
Sheikh Khalid's world tour.
Well, the way you will know is like someone runs a marathon. If someone runs a marathon, like how much will it take to burn off? But then you still have to eat and drink, and I guess so. But there are people who survived, like
By eating other human beings.
month. No, nothing. Eating nothing for a month.
Come on.
Yeah. There's even longer than that as well. Month, 2 months, like that. Yeah, it's possible.
Are we talking about waliullahs or?
No. We're just talking about people. They can do it. There is a possibility you can do it.
For a month.
Nothing, eating nothing. I think they drink water maybe, or there's something like it's. Yeah, they don't eat anything.
That's some serious weight loss.
Huh?
That's some serious weight loss.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was.
Speaking of losses, this is our second recording for this week.
Yeah, we stuffed up the recording the other day. I went home and the audio was not recorded, or we had a malfunction and it didn't record. But it was good that we didn't. So this is like basically.
I'm genuinely very glad.
This is take 2.
Yeah, I'm very glad that recording didn't go through. Now everyone's going to be wondering what that recording was. However,
I'll explain in summary.
It was very controversial.
I don't think it was that bad.
It was controversial.
No. Well, it was actually trying to. I had to because he kept on probing me and asking questions, so I just kept on going more deeper. It was actually my opinions.
I was giving you
my views on what makes an alim and ilm, and what are the skills set that's required, and and people.
Okay, let's go there for a little, just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to get an understanding without anything else involved.
Right.
What is the skill set that an alim?
So first, like you want to start at different levels, all right? So for the average person, asks questions, learns, right? And does not have an opinion on ayat and Quran and hadith, and like if he doesn't have any tahqiq or research or study.
What's tahqiq?
Research.
Okay.
I translate straight away if I say an Arabic word.
I didn't know.
Tahqiq means research. So anyway, any research or any basis of the sources and has a deep study, then it cannot access those books and explanations and analysis or like commentaries, then really their opinion is worthless. They're not permitted to have an opinion.
They're not permitted.
They're not permitted. It's haram to even for an alim, a qualified alim, he cannot just give his personal opinion about stuff, about dini matters, right? So that's one lot.
Do we have a lot of those alims now?
Then you have they're not alims. They're people that are like they're very confident, overconfident. Some of them are you hear from people who just make up stuff because they felt something, or the most egregious form of this is in Hajj. The guys who've done one Hajj before, and then they become muftis of Hajj in the next Hajj, and they start telling people like this is haram, and then those brothers come to me and say, no, there's no such thing.
What's haram?
I can't remember. There was certain thing like there was no basis for it. Like it was nothing. they just put a restriction on the people for no reason at all. Like, check the books and just make sure, like, is this is like even a real thing? And then I found out, oh, it wasn't. I can't remember what it was exactly, but it wasn't actually a thing. But he's telling people this is not permissible, right? So, or insisting something has to be done a certain way, and that doesn't actually. It's not. There's a rule. So basically, you got people who act like alims or behave like alims who had nothing to do with the field, fiqh, especially the do's and don'ts, halal and haram.
So it's basically like your homemade doctors.
Yeah. It's even worse.
Serious.
It's worse because it's a matter of deen. So that's one category. Then you got a guy who starts studying, so he gets a bit of familiarity. Those guys are at risk. Like, they might have gone to madrasa for maybe 2 years, 3 years. So they sort of know the field a little bit because they've been in it for 2-3 years. But they become overconfident. They started speaking in public forums. They might be very well spoken, articulate, but they start making they have a lot of missteps and they start making mistakes. And
yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, so that's why, like Maulana Shafii Thanwi rahmatullahi alayhi said about students at the beginning of their studies. Let's say they're studying an 8-year alim course or a 6-year alim course. In the first couple of years, they should not be. We're summarizing what we discussed the other day, right? This is now
very
distilled,
very
but you're getting the crux because we went through. We went left to right. No, edited, but we're going left. So those ones in the beginning, they should not be given a platform. They should not be given. So he's advised that because the problem with them is they've got a long way to go.
So these guys that have studied 1 or 2 years, don't put them in front of people.
Yeah, because why? Actually, the community spoils them. Like, some communities don't have alims, right? Some masjids might not have alims, or a country town, for example, might not have an alim. So what they do is they get some brother in. He might be good. He might be even a hafiz of Quran and can lead the salat. But then he starts doing counseling. He starts doing fiqh, marriage, divorce issues. There's a couple of those guys around in Australia. And so they get a sort of like become a de facto sheikh, but they're not qualified.
And
then they start making, they're sort of like cutting and pasting online stuff, and they start, this is people have to know, just because someone speaks well and is articulate. So Maulana Shafii Thanwi rahmatullah's book, which was someone compiled these sayings regarding about teaching, and it's a guide for ulama, giving speech, how to give speech, so he said in the initial studies they should not be talking, because then they think that ilm is to speak in front of people. And for the average person, if ulama talk to you or they give a speech or Jummah khutbah, that's all they know. They don't see anything else. All they know is that's the only interface that they have. So they think that that's the be all and end all. If they can give a talk that's very that's actually the most important thing for the average person, is to hear the ulama explain deen to them in a nice way, a good way, to give them glad tidings, to frighten them, to get them excited about deen. Yeah, that's a Rasul, Bashir wa Nadira. Allah said, Rasul, he gives glad tidings, he gives warnings. So that's like a huge part of deen for the average person. But an alim behind the scenes is much more. His studies and so forth is much more than that. That's the only interface the public see. Now, because that young student is still a student, he gets that adulation, or he does that crowd work or whatever. I'm just joking, but he gets that sort of feedback. He works
the crowd into a
frenzy.
Yeah,
but he gets that's almost like a ego boost or whatever. Everybody speaks in public or anywhere, loves it, the attention, the adulation.
Subconsciously, it isn't.
Yeah. So, but what it does as an alim, it puts a brake on your ilm, because you think that you've made it, and you think, I'm doing the actual work of ulama, I'm in front of the people. Then you stop. It actually spoils you. And people are paying such people as well, and there's money involved in it, and there's so many things, traps that come along with that.
I've actually noticed that, because even what I do for work, in that when I sit in front of people and we're having conversations, when a person doesn't not have much knowledge of deen, if somebody comes with a little bit of knowledge, the first thing they start going, oh, sheikh or whatever, and I'm very, very particular about saying, listen, I'm just like you guys. I'm not a sheikh.
Yeah.
Any questions you ask, we have to check with an alim, and I'm always bringing back, make sure you go to the ulama, or for, if the Arabs, sheikh, to understand what's going on. And I understand the trap of, it's very easy for the ego to get a nice little massage, and then all of a sudden I'm the fatwa man.
Exactly. And
that's dangerous.
Exactly. Overconfidence is, people in the past were scared. We're not scared today. We don't have fear of Allah.
Why do you think that is?
No, the time that we live in, as we're getting away from time of Rasul, we live in like the worst time in the history of Islam. Like, it was the further that Rasul told us that. We're living in the worst time in the last 1450 years, and the future will get even worse. So this is Rasul already told us that.
What do you mean Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told
There's
us?
a hadith actually. As the time goes, gets closer to Qiyamah, will get worse. Things will get worse.
So you're saying every year is worse than the year before?
Yeah, 100%.
Is that what you actually
I heard a baker, he used to sell yesterday's bread more expensive than today's. It's a Muslim country. And said why? Because yesterday's bread is more closer to the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
I love it.
Yeah, so Allahu alam. But we are. So that therefore the self-criticism and the tarbiyah from the ulama, especially the teachers of the students, has to be more. They have to be very careful, like with the student. But generally, for myself, like I have students who are ulama, they're muftis, they're teaching, and alhamdulillah, doing imamat. Like I'm happy that they're doing it. But if they're, especially the ones that their ilm is solid, like they've really studied, they're in their books always, they will always get the reminders from the imams of the past because they're reading their books always, right? The ones that are reading always, they're reading great people's books, Imam Ghazali's books, and the great Imams, Ibn Hajar Asqalani, great awliya, ahlullah. So in those books, it's constant reminders about akhirah, constant reminders of, they're not just technical, even in the fiqh books you find these advices. So there is a softening of the heart that occurs. The more they're in their ilm, the safer that they are. But what you see, the average person doesn't know that how much deep the knowledge is.
Yeah.
It's because you're disconnected. It's maybe through language, maybe through study, but there's so much depth. It's like it's an ocean, really, of knowledge. So the ulama that are very good, like they finish their alim course properly, they stay connected with their teachers, and then their heads are down in the books.
After they finish.
It's like your whole life you have to be in the books. You can't. This is like you have to read every day.
Actually, this is what I heard about Mufti Taqi Usmani, that he's always in his books.
Yeah, that's like a norm. The idea that you finish your studies and you become a influencer or a social media star, whatever, like that's no, it doesn't work like that. Like your whole life, you have to have a book. Like one of the great ulama of the early 20th century, great da'i, Mawlana Ilyas, rahmatullah alayhi, like at the end of his life, he was sitting like I think he had it was very hot, so they put him like in a tub of water to cool him down. And, like in India, it gets like in 40s or whatever. And he had a book in his hand. Someone said, "Are you reading now?" Like he's at the end, he's dying, whatever. He said, what's the point of living if I don't read? Like this is something that our alim cannot do without like studying books. So if they're reading constantly and enriching themselves, then they're not just reading the books of like, it's not reading newspapers. You're reading imams who with an ink pot wrote those books.
Allahu Akbar.
In tahajjud, in night time, they spend, like Imam Shafi rahmullah wrote like a third of the night spent for ilm, a third in ibadah, like you have to, like, or Imam, if you read Imam Ahmad used to pray like 500, 800, whatever rakats, nafil a day, or Imam Hanifa used to read, he's from Isha and Fajr with the same wudu, pray ibadah the whole night. Those imams, you can't they're very hard to create, they're very few. So when you're reading their books, right, when you're reading their books, you're getting so the good ones, the graduated madrasa, the ones that are academic study, they are very lucky. Those smart ones that Allah gives, because intelligence is a gift from Allah. Not everyone's got it. Not every madrasa student's got it. Not every graduate's got it.
Everyone utilizes it.
And the ones that are blessed with it, they're very smart, they're very intelligent, they're constantly on the search for knowledge. They got that thirst for knowledge. That's why Ibn Jawzi said, I have more thirst for knowledge in my 80s than I did in my 20s. It doesn't stop. It's two avarices, like two greeds or hirs. They don't. One is the greed for money, cryptos, day trading, all that. Sorry. No, but all money. Like that's all it is. It's a greed. The greed increases actually with age. And the second is knowledge, the thirst for knowledge. It doesn't reduce, actually increases. A person wants more.
Thirst for knowledge.
Thirst for knowledge doesn't decrease.
So you can actually cultivate that to increase that as you get older.
It's a gift from Allah. Like if you're in it, you want to read, you want to enrich yourself. Subhanallah, like it's constant, like you're asking questions, you're learning, you're trying to acquire more knowledge. So that's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those students that have that, then even the teacher, maybe he's not a teacher like I'm supposedly a teacher in madrasa, but like you feel like a peace of mind with those students.
What do you mean you're supposedly a teacher in madrasa? You are.
I am a teacher in madrasa, but it's like a weird thing to say. Yeah, I'm humble bragging. Astaghfirullah. But no, it's sort of like a weird thing to say. Like I'm involved with madrasa, put it that way. So those students, like when you see them, they engage in service of deen, but then at the same time you see them also checking their books, right? They're always asking questions like, The way I know today is because they're in WhatsApp groups and they'll share things or they'll ask questions about things. Oh, they're in the books. They're studying and checking.
You can tell that they're
Yeah. Then they're the
connected.
ones that I had students and dodos. They disappear off the map. They don't ask you one question after 1 year. They'll come give salam to you or something. Like they have no connection with the field. Like there's so many of them. There's thousands of them in the world. So
but that doesn't mean they're alims. They're not alims.
No, they graduated maybe from madrasas and
Graduated as alims, you're saying?
Yeah, in the eyes of the public, there might be an alim. In the eyes of the public, but among the ulama, they're not they don't have any affinity with the field, even a basic level. So that's the worry. Like the worry is, initially I said one worry is that the person is not an alim, engaging in something that he's not qualified for, or that he's in the initial study and then he gets distracted and doesn't go further because you think there's a saying, whoever enters into ilm a handspan, he becomes arrogant. If you enter into ilm, huh? Yeah. If you enter into ilm, then if you enter one shibr, one handspan, takabbara, becomes arrogant. If you enter into ilm 2 handspans, then he becomes humble. And the one who enters into ilm 3 handspans, meaning more or less, I'm trying to remember the saying, he says, I don't know. Right. The problem is a lot of us get stuck who are connected to ilm or madrasa. We get stuck in that one handspan, and therefore, and they don't know it, and they're overconfident. They're they're too overconfident, and if maybe frustrates the ones that maybe a little bit down the line, or maybe they notice that's this guy's actually out of line. So the senior ulama, they will notice these things. The elders, like those in their 70s, 80s, they look at that. Like my father, rahmullah, he used to say to me, this is a saying in Pashto, he said to me that you are like a frog that's come out of the water, prayed 2 rakats, and now you're waiting for wahi, a revelation to descend upon you. So like a senior alim is there to fix you up.
Frog or toad?
Whatever, frog or whatever. Frog comes in the water. Toads live on land, isn't it? Anyway. So anyway, a frog that comes out of water, prays 2 rakat, now is sitting there on the rock waiting for wahi to descend on it. So it's alhamdulillah, I had somebody there to
praise you. What did you say about him praising you?
No, he never praised me. Like my whole life he didn't praise. Twice, at the age of 35 and I think the age of 37. Twice in my life he praised me.
Out of your whole life?
I think I gave 10 years.
If you ran a marathon at school?
10 years of khutbahs I gave in front of him. So just think about that. I probably gave 500 khutbahs in front of him. And at the age of 35, he said to me, rahmullah, he had 13 years of study. He studied with everybody, like in Pakistan, in Saudi, in Morocco. Like he saw the who's who of ilm, in his generation. And he, rahmullah, said that after I was at the age of 35 and I gave a Jummah khutbah and I went to his office.
For a second, think about the fact that he remembers how old he was. So it must have had a profound effect on you.
What?
The fact that he said something to you. Sorry,
So
continue.
he said to me, in anything, he never praised me. So he said, and part of the reason was that he himself was an orphan. So his parents were already both passed. Dad passed away at the age of 7, mother passed away at the age of 12. So he had no mother, no father. He raised his younger brother. Right, and at the age of 12, he had to be a mother and father to his younger brother. Now think about that. So he didn't have anybody to praise him and tell him. So that's the way he expected it from us. Figure it out yourself, which we couldn't. Because we had parents. We have parents. So anyway, he. So the way he was so.
You're talking about the khutbah.
Khutbah. So after the khutbah, at age of 35, that's 7 years ago. I went to the office. He said that was a good khutbah. I was so shocked because I didn't know, because I don't expect it. I never expect it. You're giving khutbah for 10 years in front of him and you never expect, I never expected I'm going to get any praise.
Yeah.
So when he said it, I said, what? I was shocked. I go, what? And he said, then he changed the subject. Talk about something else. Then it was 2 years later, he said the same thing about another khutbah. He liked the khutbah. That was a good khutbah, or he liked the khutbah. That's it. That's in my. So I'm age of 42 now. Twice my father praised me in my whole life for anything, deen, dunya, anything.
So this is the Shaykh Khalid's children and his students in madrasa. Deep down inside, he's loving what you're doing. He just can't praise you for it.
I can't do it. I can't. I actually tell my students, mashallah, keep going. I actually do more. I'm the Aussie dad type, our generation dad. I love you, son. That's the
Let's have a cold one together.
No, like it's, our generation is more sort of expressive
But we need to be. Our children in this generation, like this is a little bit of a side topic, the fact that you said that.
Yeah.
Our kids need to know that we actually love them. We don't say it often enough.
For these weaklings of this generation, we need they need to know.
Or saying things enough, you actually have to tell them to get into their head.
Yeah, because they're just weak. They can't fix themselves up, so they need else they'll fall apart.
This, and then I want to say stop recording.
There's the psychological issues that they'll have later on. Because they're so weak.
Because you turned out amazing.
Alhamdulillah. But I'm saying you have to do it. Like we have to massage the ego and all that sort of stuff. But no, alhamdulillah. It's all good.
You just left this wide open, but I'm not going to say anything.
Same thing with the students. When I see my students doing good, and I'm not judge over them, Allah's judge over them, but the ones that are ilmi inclined, they're in a safer place because they have that whole ecosystem around them, and they will the disease, the hearts will be there. They'll always on books. They'll be always reminded. They're more. That intelligence is a gift from Allah, and they in books. The ones I worry about is that when they get a bit of public adulation or a title, and they love that, but they don't have that security of ilm around them in the ecosystem because they didn't invest, or maybe they're not able to do it. Some just people are not smart. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's a hadith. Because intelligence it's Allah. Allah's qadr from Allah. Allah gives intelligence. Allah can take it away as well. But that aql is a gift that is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to different people. And how you use the aql is you can use your aql on hadith and fiqh, you can use it on crypto.
I knew you was going to say crypto.
I'm just giving a hard time.
I knew you were going to say crypto.
Astaghfirullah azim. The betting on crypto, but astaghfirullah. No, back to what we're saying, that in terms of ilm, there are minefields. There are minefields for students of knowledge, and then they have to be mindful of. The problem is when the public comes into it.
As a general public, when
I realize I'm very sorry. I cut you off. I'm very lucky to have my father, because I would say something in the khutbah, and he would call me to the office. He said, "Why'd you say that for? Who told you to say?" I'll close the door, and then he'll say, "Close the door," and then he'll fix me up because why do you need to say that?
Irfan, did you ever hear any of these close the door moments?
No. Did you hear anything? No. He used to sit. He used to sit. He used to sit in my dars of Quran, my dars of Hadith. He used to sit on my left. You had those moments? In front of the whole mosque.
That's good.
And then I would not have an argument, but I would say,
you'd get cut.
No. He would do a dressing down, he would fix me up in front of the whole mosque. The best one of this one, the best one was the one in Jummah khutbah, where my khutbah went for too long, and in front of the whole mosque, he goes, "Tell him next week." So that was the best one. That was the best.
He actually said that?
Tell him next week, because I was going over the time. There's 200 people sitting there listening in the main hall of the mosque.
They were all probably thinking the same thing anyway. Tell us next week, mate.
We got to get back to work. But what I'm saying is many of the alims that have fathers who are alims, they're very lucky. Because fathers can do that. They can give you the father, and if your father is an alim himself, then he can fix you up, and a lot of benefits you can get out of that. They're fortunate because they, you can see, they're fathers. They can do tarbiyya as an alim and as a father, which is really good. He gave me all the shortcuts. He saved me a lot of time. I'm still benefiting from his decisions that he made. He passed away 3 years ago now, and I'm still benefiting from his decisions and things that he put into place then. Situations have come, brand new situations have come in the last 1 year, for example, last 3 months. And the way I've operated and what I've dealt with that is based on decisions that he made. Sure. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so forth. They're coming into play now. So, alhamdulillah, in that sense, he was my teacher, he was my best teacher. But what I'm saying, sometimes that doesn't translate very well when you're teaching other people's kids. So it doesn't translate. This cannot be. This is hard to create. This type of tarbiyah is challenging to create in other people's kids or other people who are not, and they because from your father you can take it.
Yeah,
you can take it from your father because he's your father. And like once he was telling me, like I used to read when I was studying Darul Uloom, that I used to go in the evening and read the book with him, and he said that I think it was like 28, and I read and I made a mistake in reading the Arabic text, and he said something in Pashto to me like. You're eating. It doesn't sound bad in Pashto, but in English, like you're eating feces. You know, like your reading is like you're talking crap. You know, like that's like I was almost about to cry. I'm 28 years old. My father's about to make me cry. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
Okay. What I'll do is I'm going to give you the number of a really good counsellor that I know.
I'm all right.
There's a lot to unpack there.
No, I'm all right. I don't need it.
And then he said, I'm eating feces.
No, I was like, because I've been studying for 4 or 5 years in madrasa, and he said, you still can't read. After 4 or 5 years of studying, you still can't read the text properly. And you have to understand that when he was studying in madrasa, like he was extremely intelligent, and he was studying one of the greatest ulama in Pakistan, Mawlana Yusuf bin Nuri rahmatullah alayhi, passed away in the 70s, great Shaykh al-Hadith and so forth. And when there were students, the guy that they appointed as a teacher for my dad's class, right, he made a mistake reading. So they went to Mawlana Yusuf bin Nuri rahmatullah alayhi and complained to him as students, this guy can't read the book, how is he going to teach us? And he can't read the Arabic properly. So that was his like ilmi standard, like as a student. And then he expected, so then Mawlana Yusuf bin Nuri rahmatullah alayhi said, all right, what if I teach you instead? And he said, we hit the jackpot, we got rid of that guy, and we got Mawlana Yusuf bin Nuri, one of the giants of India and Pakistan. But anyway, so what I realize is the benefits of having him as a teacher, as a mentor, is, and then you're trying to create that in people who you're not related to, they're not your kids, and you're trying to pass that on to them, but it's very hard because they'll take it the wrong way.
Someone's got to do it, because otherwise you're only going to have the children of ulama as alims.
Well, that's going to happen always. Like you're going to have ulama's kids as they're going to be always, they're going to be, that's in, if you look in India, who are all the predominant ulama?
No, what I mean by that is, yes, that's fine, but then other people that want to study are going to have to come in, and it's just something that needs to be done.
The thing is, in Muslim countries, it's different. Here it's different. Muslim countries, that tarbiyah is in the society already. Yeah. The expectation there, they have a tradition for centuries. So when you go into that field, you're expected to perform at that, and people humble themselves to their teachers. Here, the ego is so much and so inflated, like in Australia, they're so inflated that to submit or to take, and even take the truth, being told the truth, they can't. Or the very few can. It's very rare they can take the truth. Like, does everyone have to study? No. Does everyone need to know their fard for their 24 hours? Yes, they do. Right? That's the fard that's required. Everybody needs to do the things that they're doing. That if they, I'm working in this field. This is my issues. In this issue, these are the ahkam that I need to know. So everyone needs to know 24 hours. Can everyone become an alim? No. Not everyone can. No, like, for example, an 80-year-old comes and says, I want to become an alim, right? He can try, but it'll be almost impossible. You know, it's not realistic. It's not a realistic option. Better he make his grandkids alims. You know?
Inshallah.
Or, but you'll find that the alims that come out of ulama families, they are different. And this is like, especially in the subcontinent. I'm not sure about other places, but in the subcontinent, if you see most of the ulama families, there's actually ulama families, and they've been ulama families for centuries. It's like part of I wouldn't want to say DNA. It's open to everybody. You still have to make effort, but especially in the subcontinent, if you see the ulama families, usually they have 3. Maulana Hassan Nadwi talks about this. Like, they'll have 3 characteristics. One is that they emphasize on Islamic learning, Arabic learning, like in madrasa studies. Second thing is that they will intermarry within those families only. They will not marry outside. Thirdly is that they will they have to do some service of deen.
Yeah, but on that note, just to interrupt you and finish off with this, that doesn't mean that don't make your children alim if you're not an alim. All that you're saying is there's a bit of tarbiyah that's required that's difficult.
Not a bit of tarbiyah. Not a bit of tarbiyah.
Okay,
Please don't say
a lot of
no.
tarbiyah.
The maximum amount of tarbiyah.
Okay, the maximum amount
full
of
smashings
that's required.
Yeah.
However, That doesn't mean if you're not an alim, don't make your children an alim.
No, it's not that. But you have
Because
also,
that's how you're coming across.
oh, you might say, but I'm saying that predominantly most of the ulama that do come, they are from ulama families, or they've been raised in the ulama. Like if you see Sahaba slaves, they're not from the ulama families, but they're raised, they're mawali, freed slave, raised in Sahabas, ulama. If you see the tradition of ilm in the subcontinent and in other countries as well, those ulama go live with their teachers. Even in Mauritania, look at it, you go live there, you be part of it. So they get the tarbiyah because they do get that tarbiyah. So you have to go in it full. But what's happening is we're getting these, this is what part of the issue that was contentious the other day. It's related to this, is we're having these sort of half committed people. They're not they're not taking all the risks. They're not taking all the, they're trying to do all their dunya and everything along with supposedly deen. They're not going in the whole hog, as they say. That's probably a really bad example. Really halal, vegan, vegan hog.
They're not going the whole
it's the weird thing is that when I was 15, I don't know where it is, because my great-grandfather's an alim, my father's an alim, uncle's an alim, all my cousins are alim. I'm just saying that the ones that have tradition, when I was 15, I don't know why, and because I'm in Imam's house, I really didn't want to be an alim, but I wanted to do khidmat of deen. It's automatic. That's it was automatic there. It was there. When I sort of was conscious of what it started working, I have to do something. I have to do some khidmat of deen. I have to serve the deen. So whatever it was, I was doing this thing or that thing. So there is something about those families, that they're fortunate. But it's not a guarantee that people come out of family automatically become ulama. That's right, one thing. And people from the other families, but in Australia I'm talking about, it's the tarbiyah is massively lacking.
I understand that. Yeah. But like in the UK, like in South Africa.
UK is different. UK, South Africa is different.
Okay, but that's originally, most of those families weren't, if you trace them back, children of
No, but you have to understand what's in South Africa, UK. We don't have that in Australia. So it is possible that anybody can become an alim if they work hard enough.
That's it.
But it's required. The problem is
you've got to want to do it, and this is what you want.
No. Don't go down the motivation road and so forth. What I'm saying is that how do I articulate this? Because I don't want to give the impression to the people that if you're not an alim, your kids can't become alims and hufaz. That's not true. 100% they can. But there has to be something around them that trains them and properly. The problem is that when you have average people, their kids, unless they're very exceptional in their taqwa, and they themselves spend, usually those people who make their kids ulama, themselves have spent a lot of time with ulama. And they know what an alim is supposed to be. Problem is, you get here, as a simple example, let's not even talk about ulama, hifz, right? There's two types of hufaz can made, and there's a hifz teachers. The one type of hifz teachers passes the kid because the parents are pushing to finish the hifz. This guy will finish hifz, right? This is a simple way to understand. Will finish the hifz. This is because the parents are pushing rushing him through. They'll pull him out of one madrasa, put him in another madrasa, right? And they'll push and fast track him. And that guy can't stand in Taraweeh, read one page without making 3-4 mistakes. So his hifz is really bad. So he's a hafiz, technically he's finished.
Yep.
But he will never be able to do Taraweeh properly. Nobody will hire him in the masjid. One Taraweeh in one masjid said, he'll be a write-off. Nah, man. People get angry. The mosque get angry. The guy's making a mistake the non-hufaz will be angry behind him, sadly.
He's getting corrected.
He's getting correct constantly because it's disruptive. As I'm just giving you an example of hifz is a simplified version. Why is he like that? Because of the parents. And because of that hifz teacher that allowed it to happen. Okay. And then you got hifz teachers who are very strict, disciplined. And they will tell the parents, listen, this is what's required of your kid if you want him to become a hafiz. Let's get real. Without this, you're making a mockery of hifz. Those teachers are not very popular with parents because they say it how it is, because they are more... I know hufaz, hifz teachers in Melbourne like that. They think they're one type of hifz teacher who will pass no matter what. And what you have at the end, the guy supposedly, quote unquote, he's got a hafiz title. And the parents are happy with that. There's many parents I know like that. They're happy, mashallah, he's done it. He's a hafiz, They can say it in their dinners. He's a hafiz from our family. No, this is a real, I'm telling you, this is a real thing. But the problem is that guy, you put him in Taraweeh, he can't do 2 rakats properly. Okay. And on the other side, you have the teacher who pushes that student and pushes the parents and says, this is what you need to deliver. Like to get a hafiz, this is what you need to do. These are the hours you need to invest. Right? The parents have to invest. These are the hours the student has to invest. And that teacher is serious, and he will not let the student give a new lesson even sometimes.
Until he's perfected.
Until he's perfected what he's learned. Now, that sounds like common sense, right? Like you should not get more until you passed.
Yeah.
And then the other teacher says, well, if we stop him, then he'll get demotivated. There's a dilemma there, right? But the one that does it properly and gets the result, then his student is the one. And we got those teachers. We got some amazing teachers across different cities in Brisbane, in Perth, in Melbourne, so forth, who are like that. And there the students can stand, hold 20 rakat, and maybe make, sometimes no mistake in a night, sometimes maybe one. But the reason why that's like that, because that teacher was serious. Now, take that example, put it in alim. Right? So you got ulama who are just passed, and rushed through, and hoping that he will have taqwa and Allah will reveal on him, like bless him. You got that, there is that attitude. Or the ones that and this is my fault, this is my dilemma. Because when you're teaching in the madrasa, involved madrasa, then you're responsible for the guy that comes out. That's a stress for you as a teacher. It's not like, there's a student, he's graduate madrasa, it's like a badge of honor that he's my student. No, he's a calamity for me. If he goes around, stuffs up people's deen, that's how I have to think. Like if he goes around and says the wrong things and says nonsense to people, and he misguides people, I'm the one that actually taught him, or I sort of, good on you. It's like it's a dilemma. Yeah, it's not okay, we graduated the class. My stress didn't decrease; it increased. It was like a relief. All right, we got the first batch graduated, but now, like, there's a life. He's going to be an alim with the title of alim, supposedly from our madrasa for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
So
So that's what you're talking about, tarbiyya.
Yeah. So the tarbiyya thing is like those who have like senior, some that are generally you see like ulama that are very close to their teachers, spend time. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about like they spend their life. I had a fortune of growing up 42 years of my life in an alim's house. It's not like
Yep.
I guess you can understand, fill in the gaps sort of thing. But the other guys that don't get that, or no reminders of that, or no one does. And a lot of in today's culture is that we try to be all positive and loving and never critique. No one says to you, like, close the door. Why did you say that for? Nobody ever say that to you. Like, don't talk like that. You
do it all the time.
Huh?
You do it all the time.
To who?
To me.
No, you're all right. You're a friend. You're different.
Doesn't even fun. It doesn't even fun.
For friend, you're friends. You're brothers. It's different. I'm talking about in the public.
Except you don't even say close the door.
Huh?
You say go outside and close the door.
Yeah. So that's a very hard thing to switch off if you're in madrasa all day.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's a job of the teacher. Is he has to do that.
Yeah.
His job is, you probably know him, Maulana Fahim from Pakistan. So he said this to me. He said, now you have to look at, because the flag of the madrasa is up. Now you have to look at everything the student does, every stand, sits, how his clothes are. That's,
How his clothes are in temple.
Yeah, how he dresses in sunnah. Like make sure that's your job to make sure that they're on the ball. Because in our madrasa, we've got 500 students in the final year. How am I going to do the tarbiyah? How am I going to get to even know them? Yeah. Like big madrasas, in Pakistan. I don't even know them. Like I don't even know their names.
It's actually really nice because you get to know your students.
Yeah, warts and all.
Yeah, warts and all.
Anyway, that's what we were talking about the other day, and
this is
the redacted version of it.
Redacted, like most of it was redacted, but alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very hard to express this sometimes because you're talking about a whole life,
And you get full on when you're expressing it as well.
Yeah, because I have very strong views on.
I know you do.
Very strong views and opinions, and people can correct me on that, and they can fault.
But sometimes your opinions also get, and this is not follow on or anything like that, get taken the wrong way, and it's lost in translation. Being very straight up.
Yeah.
There's no but.
Tell those people, get Google Translate. Anyway.
All right. COVID. What's happening with COVID? What's the latest? Where are we at? I think we had the stuff up of the vaccination. Now
How big? What was the stuff up with that?
it was those guys under 50, anyone under 50. One is the blood clots. The second thing is the rollout wasn't very good to all the GPs. It was because the federal government was handling it rather than the states.
Okay.
I mean, the states are in control of the hospitals. The states, they've done a fantastic job with COVID. I think ScoMo just wanted to put one on the board and say, look, I succeeded in the vaccine thing. But now you've got, what did they say in one of the papers the other day? Cabinet on a war footing. So today he had all the states there as well, and they worked together to work out a solution.
He's been doing good. ScoMo has been good.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I
He's
have
been
to disagree
good.
with that. He's just a soundbite man.
No, he's all right. He's all right.
He's a
all right.
soundbite man, bro.
He's all right. Like it's a difficult time, and we have to be forgiving. And Stray is doing all right.
All your students are sitting there.
He shut down. He shut down the belt.
Four of them.
No, the Victorian government's
the 4 deals.
with the Chinese government.
That's correct.
He shut it. Good on him.
Yep.
Yeah, good on him.
Belton Road.
Yeah, bloody Labor, man. Like selling out to China, lefties.
As you can see, where each person's
the lefties and
political
communists.
leanings
I like him on one side in terms of his thing, but then on the other side, like to get in bed with the Chinese government. And let's stay away from that.
Yeah, nobody wants to be in bed with Xi Jinping.
Yeah, yeah. So ScoMo stepped in and said, "Nah, it's not happening. This is not the federal government is responsible for external." Like diplomatic and international deals and so forth.
I don't know too much
government level.
I don't know too much about that deal, but yeah, wherever China does put their hand in, there's always an okay. What are you going to give us? There's always
They put you in debt. They put you in debt, and you become a slave, like in Sri Lanka, like everywhere else, like the Pacific Islands. So, put it this way, the amount of zulm they're perpetrating, they deserve it. I mean, they're all doing zulm to Muslims, but
China's on another level.
Yeah, so good on Australia for shutting it down.
You heard it here. Shaykh Khalid of Doncaster. ScoMo, you got a pat on the back, buddy.
I mean, not exactly, but at least COVID's going all right. Like he's doing it. He's doing all right. He said something the other day. Now I can't remember it, but
for me, he's just a soundbite man. I can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. I struggle to believe anything that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, all right.
But that's just the way it is. And then
healthy skepticism is good. But, if there's good, we call it good. If Dan Andrew does something good, we say it's good. At the end of the day, for us, is like Islam tells you what's right and wrong and what's good and bad. And everything, if something is good is done, whether he's the front man for it, where's the soundbite man, it's still his government, it's still his party. And if they made a decision and it worked out, things are generally good in Australia. Like, we can't complain.
Things are very good in Australia.
So
there's people right now. Well, today they just cancelled. What is it? They decreased flights from India by 30%.
Oh, okay.
Because the majority of people that are coming into hotel quarantine are from India.
I thought you said majority of people are coming are Indians, and that's why they're doing it. The majority of people are coming. They're coming from
India.
Oh, okay.
They're the ones that are testing positive. I don't know from the Mela, but testing positive for COVID.
Yeah,
are actually from India. And in Perth, that was a big
it's good. Keep all Indians out. There's too many of them. Abdul Wajid is Indian, that's why. There's too many of these guys.
It's one of those nights. It's going to be Irfan's sitting there as well, just going, just nod your head. That's
bring more Kenyans in, bring more Kenyans. Irfan's from Kenya, so bring more Kenyans in.
We have a lot of Kenyans. And then what about the Oromo? We're missing Sheikh Oromo today, Mr. Lata.
Yeah, because we sort of have like a flu.
We don't have a flu. You're going to freak out.
I had a flu yesterday, fluish symptoms, and then I was not well, and today I'm good. And Irfan had a little bit. He's wearing a mask to protect you because you're paranoid. So why is it that you can't have somebody near you?
No, it's not about flu.
Is it a COVID thing?
It's a COVID thing.
All right.
So
for Lata, because he had a baby, he's got a baby, so it's understandable. And
Alhamdulillah. Oh, what do we do, mate? What do we do?
we people delve into the conspiracy theories, but when it comes to your family and your own life,
I'm not a conspiracy
then
theorist.
Please wear a mask. Irfan, come with a mask.
Please go do this from outside.
Yeah, should be a glass screen, plastic, screen. You should speak into us. You should not be speaking to us.
Put one of those boxes outside over his head with 2 eye holes.
Yeah, it's like get smart.
And well, another thing. What has the government done? We're getting out of Afghanistan.
America's getting out of Afghanistan. I think we're just following.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. So America's decided. I think they delayed it till September or something, August, September. I think Trump made a comment that they should have followed the schedule to May, his schedule, which was supposed to be done next month.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they sort of delayed it a few months. Biden's delayed it for some reason. But yeah, it's inshallah, it's good for the Muslims there, for the ummah
They've
there.
been through a lot, man.
And Allah make peace in the country between and they're all Muslims on both sides,
Yep.
whether it be Taliban or whether it be the other side, and Allah make peace between them. And they've been through hell, and there's so refugees all over the world, and so subhanallah, like it's they're there's hardly any refugees in Australia, like tens of thousands, 100,000.
Afghan refugees?
Yeah, in the tens of thousands maybe, right? In Pakistan, I think at one point it's like 5 million, right? Same with Jordan, like they were taking like 2 million Syrian refugees. Turkey was like 2 million, some ridiculous amount like that. These countries complain about 1,000 refugees coming. Imagine 5 million came.
Well, in Australia, we've got the oceans around us. That's why.
Yeah. So there's fishermen.
And also where they're coming
Indonesia,
from. And also where they're coming from.
The
refugees, because they're coming from these Western countries. I always think, imagine if we had refugees coming from the US or the UK, would we be the same?
They wouldn't. Those Indonesian boats would sink.
Right? Would we turn the boats around?
Huh?
Would we turn the boats around if they were safe for coming from the US?
Well, look at the South African whites, and what.
Well, that's right.
What they said about that, we should bring them. And the only reason they should bring them is because they're white. I mean, I guess if they're oppressed and they're going through, Yeah,
but have the same rules for everyone then.
Yeah, but they might be more oppressed in South Africa than, say, black people. Because they're taking the revenge out on them.
But
right?
Did they? I don't know.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like the natural instinctive human thing is to take it out on the other or the weaker, right? So they have a lot of grievances against the whites in South Africa. But the whites in South Africa, they still got big farmlands. It's not like Zimbabwe.
Right.
Yeah. So, but then there's like the poor whites, and they're the ones that are sort of copying it, and they're hoping that like the, external.
Western white countries.
Well, some US, Australia, some they say we should bring him. We should bring him here, like bring them here, but. It's only a small amount of people anyway. It's not like a huge group of people. So even if they bring him here, so what?
I think the main thing to remember is we just make a lot of dua for these guys.
Who's that?
The people in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So something normal can come out. The sad part is it's just Muslims against Muslims.
My father travelled there when he went to Medina to study. He drove the hippie trail, like through Afghanistan, to Afghanistan, Iran. No, I mean they call it hippie trail, but he drove, like he went to about 20 days to Medina from Pakistan. Inshallah. So there's no wars now. There's like 5 wars in between.
That's what I'm saying. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that when we make dua, that it just turns out. But again, if you have a look, even in Afghanistan, like you're saying, it's Muslims against Muslims, and historically in that whole region. It's constant wars. Like look at the time of Tipu Sultan. You were discussing Tipu Sultan.
Yeah.
Like
so this was our project to study
by Muslims.
Yeah. Which Muslims?
Everywhere. Like, was it from the Deccan, from other places as well.
From Hyderabad. That was a big one. That was a big one.
They were on, but
he got betrayed by everybody. His own brother-in-law, his own people inside the Hyderabad Nizam. What is it? Nizam al-Mulk. Nizam al-Mulk, the ruler of Hyderabad. He betrayed him. He sided with the English against him. Sent soldiers, army against him. Then he was like, that was the most rich. You know how rich
Mysore was.
Mysore. What is it? Mysore? Mysore is in English.
I don't know.
Masur. I think it's Masur. I think that's in Hindi, maybe Urdu. But anyway, their wealth was phenomenal. They were so wealthy. Their income was 5 times the rest of India.
Yeah.
Like the average.
And the average person's lifestyle was it 40% or something, 400% better than the other person in India.
And so, but he was like he's surrounded by ocean. By sea, he sent a message. There's no support coming. There's no escape.
No, he's not surrounded by sea. He's surrounded by land.
No, he's in South India. If you see the borders, there's on parts
on one side.
Yeah. Two sides. There was water, and then the French. I think it was Napoleon.
He sent a letter to Napoleon.
Yeah, Napoleon sent officers, and there was support. He was allied with the French. He spoke French. He learned French.
Yeah, but the French didn't turn up.
No, he had officers with him. French officers with him.
No.
Yeah. No, but they couldn't couldn't come across, like, because he was busy in Egypt or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he sent a message to the Ottomans, and they had an alliance with the British. No, you better, like, British coming conquering a Muslim, like it's been ruled by Muslim for 1,000 years or whatever, and now he's asked help. He said, no, we've got an alliance with them to fight the Russians. So even that tells you something that make everyone is sort of worried about their own political survival.
Back in
so it's kind of sad. It was sad.
In those times in India, it was alliance would just change very quickly.
Yeah.
As long as you were the strong ruler and you were the person that could protect everybody.
His father was amazing. Hyder Ali was.
Well, Tipu Sultan and his little brother actually escaped from the tower. So they were locked in a tower when his father's kingdom was taken over or whatever.
Yeah, and they climbed, they escaped.
No,
but the father was amazing. He was a foot soldier. But he was extremely brave. And he rose to and became the ruler first. That's how Tipu Sultan became the ruler. So the father actually went from rags to riches, sort of became powerful. And then because he was illiterate, he made sure his son spoke 7-8 languages. Sure. Tipu Sultan spoke French and English and Arabic and Persian, so forth. And then Tipu Sultan, rahmullah, he's a hero for Muslims. The Hindus hate him. And like every other Muslim hero in the subcontinent, that's who's our hero, they hate, but anyway.
Right. And the reality is he was actually fighting against the British.
And he had non-Muslims in his army as well, and they supported him, and because they could see, and he was extremely brave. And that's why, he was a lion that, they said the lion or the tiger of Mysore.
And once he fell, that's when the British said, right, India's ours now.
Yeah, exactly.
After he fell.
They were not worried about, but the thing is that my father, rahmallah, he was a history buff as well, so he said that, he goes, we deserved it. This doesn't come out, I think it was Bill Burr, I think he said, the comedian, he said, sometimes an ass whooping doesn't come out of thin air. I'm not sure if you heard that, but he goes, doesn't come out of thin air. And we copped it because we deserved it. So most of our rulers, Mughal and this and that, most of them, except for the odd one or two, they were too busy with slave women and enjoying luxuries of life.
I actually heard that the other day from one alim. He was saying in his talk that he said that we compare, the British taking over India to our kings, the Mughal kings or whoever was there, because these guys used to enjoy themselves at night and wake up at midnight. Yeah. Whereas British officers or whatever, they're up from dawn doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
The focus was different.
Yeah.
And
so they were doing it for dunya. The Muslim who doesn't have deen, then he also becomes just living a life of luxury, enjoyment, and all he cares about is food and clothing, and that's
right.
Yeah. That's why when Sahaba went to Persia, that's what they were in rags, literally almost. And he said, don't look at their clothes. The Persians advised the emperor. He said that look at their words. The Arabs care more about their lineage and their words than they care about food. And he said, the Sahabi said, I've never met a more foolish people than you. Some of you worship
your rulers.
You worship your rulers. So he was a remarkable figure, in the sense that he was a hero and he was brave. He was extremely brave. He was in the battles, and he died. He became shaheed.
And he led from the front.
Yeah,
it wasn't from the back.
Okay, so that's a rare thing in a prince, to be a prince and to be raised in wealth, to be like that. That's generally, you don't see that in royalty. They don't lead from the front like that. They get into the thick of the battle.
Even when he's died, his sword had to be pried from his hands, and his ring is actually in one of the British museums.
Yeah, the British stole everything and they put it in the museum from everywhere. Yeah. There's a lot of people raising now from Greece and Egypt.
All over the world.
They're saying you stole our stuff. Whether they're going to give it back. The famous Kohinoor, is it? The famous diamond?
Yeah, it's on top of the crown.
Yeah, that tells you something.
That's right.
Yeah, they plundered the whole world. But anyway, and he also invented, I think he's the first rocket.
Yeah, he was the first one to use the rocket.
Amazing.
They didn't know what to do. It was steam powered.
Steam?
I don't know how he did it, right? And it had just basically at the end of it was just swords.
Oh, God.
Right, so he just used to cut through the enemy. He used to go up to 2 Ks.
Oh, wow.
Imagine back in those days.
Yeah,
it's a big distance.
Wow.
So he was an interesting person.
But the Ummah didn't deserve him. So at the end,
Ummah wasn't ready for him.
He got mowed down and he got killed.
But I think it comes back to, again, with Muslims, we should encourage each other when someone is doing good and support each other, not just trying to bring the other person down. And that's what was happening back then, because all these little kingdoms were fighting against each other.
Yeah.
And the British saw their opportunity, come in, divide and conquer.
Yeah. 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 That's why even
he's editing himself right now.
No. I was just thinking about the Mongolian. I think it's Genghis Khan's son or grandson when he took over Baghdad, and what he said, like you are like, at least when they conquered, he said, why didn't you buy better armaments why did you fortify your cities? Because that's how you rule the world. It's through army. It's not through ideas. It's through armies and conquest. That's how the world is in control. That's why America, the Western hegemony is to reassert in Afghanistan. They try to do it. We can probably say they didn't succeed in that. So they tried to express it through what? By force, but through gun, they tried every weapon that they had. They put special forces from every country. And at the end of it, they had to make a peace deal. They had to leave without conquest. That's the history of Afghanistan, especially with Afghanistan back to Afghanistan.
Anybody that
whether it be the English, whether it be the interesting enough, they defeated the English several times. Before that was the Mongols were defeated. Before that was the Alexander the Great. It's the graveyard of empires, as they say. Yeah. So China might be next. They, inshallah, their empire, whatever they're trying to build now. So
I don't know what they're going to build at the moment.
What's that?
I don't know what they're trying to build. You don't know what's going on in that guy's head. That's the thing. It's very hard to predict because they're very sharp people and they play.
Their thing at the moment is just to replace the US, slow and steady, is to replace. And he wants it happening under his watch. That's why they extended his rule, like his life term, so that he's got that vision and he's making sure all the pieces in place, that they will replace the United States. But it won't happen. It won't happen. It will not happen. They will fail in it.
Why do you say that?
The way they work, they're too foreign to everybody.
Yeah.
They're too foreign.
Yep.
Yeah, they're too foreign.
Well, and they're misunderstood.
Misunderstood, and the way they operate is, it won't work. They have a policy. You can see it's intelligent, it's smart, it's but it won't work. Like, it won't gel with the rest. And they are going beyond their traditional borders.
Yeah, so
they're trying to reach into Africa. Like, that's a huge step.
They're already there. They've already reached.
Yeah, but that's on the doorstep of Europe, and they're not going to let it happen. The Europeans are they're the owners of the international institutions. The only institution that the Chinese had some say in is the World Health Organization. They have a bit of say in there. That's about it. They really don't have much say anywhere else. So they were used as a factory of the world, and they think they can hoodwink, and they can outdo the Americans. Mate, those guys got contingencies for contingencies for contingencies. They're not going to NATO and all these alliances that they have. They're not going to go down they're going to make sure that they're not going to let you take the driver's seat. They're gonna stop it, and in the process,
you heard it right here, ladies and gentlemen. It ain't.
They're not going to get anywhere. Yeah, they will fail. They'll try. Even Vietnam, a small country like Vietnam, and Philippines and Indonesia, they've already been put forward, and obviously it's coming from the West. They've already been forward, like that shipping. America lanes, they said this is our border, and Americans send their ships right through it, the aircraft carriers right through it, and ignore it, and goes, don't you dare, like they've already done it. And then there was a video of Indonesian, like a Coast Guard or whatever, the ship, and the Indonesian ladies shouting, get back, like to a Chinese.
Really?
Yeah, military boat. They're telling him off, like, get back. So already, if these weak countries are already supposedly...
But they're doing it because they've got a big country behind them.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, exactly. So they...
Speaking of Indonesia and Indonesian fails, did you hear about the groom? So what happened was there's a nikah going on. There was 2 nikahs going on in the same area.
Yep.
So the groom's family turns up to this party and everything's about to go through the process, and all of a sudden they all leave with their presents. They turned up to the wrong nikah.
And the nikah wasn't done?
The nikah wasn't done.
Oh, okay.
They realized just in time, hey, we're in the wrong place. So they all did a runner.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine if that had happened?
There's even more severe cases in fiqh books where if 2 brothers are marrying 2 sisters, right? They make 2 nikahs in the same.
This is a legit thing.
Well, I think it's like a hypothetical scenario. And then they send the wrong bride to the wrong room, whatever. Nikah is done. Oh, no. So this is a real... I can't remember what the result was. I can't remember the masala now. But I remember studying it.
Every single person is now going to be curious as to that masala. You need to find out for the next week.
Yeah.
So, and then you see all these people...
But they didn't get married. So
no, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Can you imagine?
Yeah. They're not worried about COVID. They're not worried about.
No, they're not worried about anything right now. But
Yeah.
subhanAllah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all.
I mean,
On that note, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions or anything to say, leave it in the comment section below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair.